training the squat, the bench press and the deadlift in the exact same manner. So I get asked this question all the time. Today, Ashim, how come you don't do routines like 5-3-1 or 5x5 or juggernaut or cube method or insane training or jailhouse training or whatever, any of these popular routines that are in right now? How come you never do that? And the thing is that all these routines have one big, huge error, a commonality, which is across the board, and that is that they train each of these lifts, each of the big power lifts, in the exact same manner. So if you're doing 5-3-1, you're going to have 5-3-1 for bench press, 5-3-1 for squat, and 5-3-1 for deadlift. And I find that very, very silly, because you're assuming that as a lifter, your skill on the bench press is going to equal your skill on the deadlift, which is going to equal your skill on the squat, and that's just not how reality works. In fact, it doesn't work like that, not just for you and me, but even for the main powerlifters who've come up with these routines. You don't have guys who are not, and I'm not talking about prepping for a meet. I'm not discussing that. I'm not discussing peaking. Don't get into that. Take that out of this equation. All I'm discussing is normal people, because you know most of these books are for normal people. They're not just for powerlifters. They're not just for guys who are competing. They're for normal people as well who do these routines. And the main guys who have conceptualized these routines, they don't train themselves in the same manner. They don't train their squat equally to their deadlift, equally to their bench press. They all have certain strengths and they play to their strengths. And you don't go into a meet ever playing to your weakness. And in life you don't play to your weaknesses. So it's very silly even for absolute beginners. Guys who've never trained before, you're going to have these guys as well have different strengths in all of these three lifts. So you can very well have a beginner, a complete newbie, who's going to be inherently very good at the deadlift, is probably going to suck on the squat, and is going to be okay on the bench press. So guess what? Imagine putting someone like that on a routine which approaches all these three lifts in the exact same manner. It's silly. It doesn't make sense. Every single routine should be customized to the individual needs of the trainee at that point in time. So whether I'm a beginner or an intermediate guy, I'm going to have my weaknesses, right? So the law of individual differences doesn't just apply between you and me, between trainee to trainee. It also applies within a certain training routine, from lift to lift. Each lift must be approached differently. So if I'm going to approach the squat, you know what, I would like to see a routine or a coach come forward and be honest about his training and say, you know what guys, or whoever, trainee or reader or whatever, you want to get strong, that's fine, but we're not going to go balls to the wall on all three lifts, or rather because we cannot go balls to the wall on all three lifts, we will not half-ass it on all three lifts and average out some pathetic number and be mediocre. What we're going to do is, we're going to make you as a reader or as a trainee are going to choose between a pressing movement, either incline bench press or overhead press or bench press or whatever. Choose a big pressing movement and choose between the squat and the deadlift. Now the two lifts that you choose, we're going to focus on for the next few months, for the next few blocks or whatever, and we're going to hit it really, really hard. We're going to go balls to the wall. We're going to make you do a lot of volume, a lot of intensity, and by intensity I mean percentage of 1 rep max. We're going to make you train these lifts really, really hard and really push those numbers. And then at the same time, what you're going to do is you're going to take the other lifts that you've not chosen. If you've chosen bench press and deadlift, and I'm talking about overhead press and squat, you're going to take the overhead press and squat and you're just going to maintain your maximum strength on it. There have been books and articles written on how to maintain lifts. Eric Troy has articles up on this as well. So these things do exist, the knowledge is out there, but nobody talks about it. But yet everybody's doing it. Powerlifters, when they train themselves, are doing this all the time. They will be pushing and being very aggressive with one lift, and they'll be maintaining strength on another. But nobody talks about it. It's not popularized. But this is how it works. So I would like to see someone come forward and say that. And then you can give the trainee the option that, look, for the next few weeks or the next few blocks, we're going to blast these two lifts and we're going to put the other two lifts on maintenance. And then afterwards, we're going to bring it all back and you can switch the lifts, and that's fine. And that's your freedom. So what are you doing? You're addressing each lift specifically. You're addressing each weakness. And by weakness, I'm not talking about what Westside says as like, oh, your weaknesses are in the hole or whatever. I'm just saying in general, on an overall scale, you're playing to your strengths. And I'd like to see routines talk about that. Now at the same time, you have routines, you have guys who have had success stories, massive success stories that have been blown way out of proportion on all these commercialized routines, right? You've got guys who'll be like, man, I gained 400 pounds on my deadlift by doing that routine. Guess what? Most of these guys who have done really, really well on these routines are guys who've never lifted heavy consistently. You take someone who has been lifting consistently, been lifting regularly, been lifting heavy consistently for a year or two, who can perform his 1 rep max on any given day of the week. It doesn't matter if it's a good day, bad day, ugly day, whatever. He can do his 1 rep max on any day because he's got that skill level. You take a guy like that, which is where most people would aim to be and should be at the end of these routines, but they're not. You take that guy and you tell him that, okay, so I'm gonna put you on 531 or cube or juggernaut or whatever, and I'm gonna discount your current maxes, which you can do at any given point of time. I'm gonna discount your maxes by 10%. So we're gonna take 90% of that, and then just to be safe, we're gonna take 90% of that number as well, and then we're gonna make you do this routine. Guess what? He's gonna suck at it, but you're never gonna hear about it. No one's gonna talk about it because inherently, hey, the fault is in me. It's never in my routine. That's the attitude that we have. The routine is perfect. So many people have done it. Big Shot Powerlifter has talked about it. It's his routine. So the routine can't be at fault. I suck, not the routine. But the thing is, every single routine should be custom designed for the trainee. And people should talk about how trainees can learn to train themselves. But nobody does that. So that's why I will not recommend any of these cookie cutter routines to anybody, ever. Thanks a lot for watching this video, guys. Please comment, like and subscribe.